Welcome to Not Your Average Counsellor, the space where we tackle the unfiltered, often messy realities of love, relationships, and human connection. I'm V Vinci, and I am not your run-of-the-mill counsellor. With over a decade of experience working with clients and my own lived experiences to draw from, I help people all their hidden parts, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because only when we face our truth can we step into our most authentic selves. This series, Messy Truths, is where we dive headfirst into the things we're all thinking, but nobody's brave enough to say out loud. You know, those 2 a.m. thoughts that make you question everything about your relationship, your choices, your sanity. We're breaking down the tough questions people are often afraid to ask. The ones that make you squirm, laugh nervously, and then immediately text your friend saying, "Oh my God, did you hear that episode?" We'll explore the emotional, psychological, and social dynamics at play. Have you ever wondered if it's manipulative to use your partner's insecurities to win arguments? Or questioned whether you should stay with someone who refuses to work on their mental health? If you've ever found yourself thinking, is it selfish to not want children when my partner desperately does? Or should I fake orgasms to protect my partner's feelings? You're not alone, and you're definitely in the right place. No sugarcoating, no cliches, just honest conversations about the messy, complicated, sometimes hilarious reality of being human in relationships. This is where your inside thoughts finally get their moment in the spotlight. Let's get uncomfortable together. Okay, welcome back to Not Your Average Counsellor. I am V Vinci, relationship and family therapist and founder of Headquarters Counselling Services. Today we're talking about something that most people don't want to admit that they've done, but many of us have. Using your partner's insecurities, so their soft spots, to gain ground in an argument. This isn't an episode about blame, but it is about honesty, because emotional intimacy comes with power, and with power comes responsibility. So let's get into it. So let's understand emotional leverage. When we are in a relationship, we get to know the parts of our partner that the rest of the world doesn't see. Their fears, their old wounds, the things they're working on, the things they're ashamed of. And because we know them so deeply, we are also capable of hurting them more deeply than anyone else. Emotional leverage is when, in a heated moment, we use that insider knowledge to hit where it hurts. Sometimes it sounds like you're acting like this because you're insecure, or this is just your abandonment stuff again, that little sucker often comes out, or this one, you're overreacting like your mum always does. I mean, you can hear yourself say them, and at the time it feels valid and even excusable, but when you listen to that back, it doesn't sound great. So the biggest thing that you'll notice is that those statements, they are sharp. They have a sharpness to them. They frame the other person as the problem, and they signal power. I know your weak point. In healthy communication, emotional awareness is used to understand one another. In manipulation, it's used to win. So let's have a look at the psychology behind this. Why do people do it? Often it's not because we want to hurt our partner. It's because we feel hurt or overwhelmed or misunderstood or threatened, and our nervous system goes into defense mode. Underneath it is usually fear of losing power, or fear of being wrong, fear of being rejected, or a desperate need to feel in control. You will notice that the big bucket of emotion around that primarily is fear. Your nervous system in defense means that you're afraid, not that somebody else has done something, right? Now, it doesn't excuse the other person's behavior or whatever the argument is about, but emotional awareness is about knowing where you are at that point in time and going, I'm really afraid, or naming your emotion. If you grew up in a household where conflict meant attack first, this defense mechanism will feel really automatic. It's not intentional, but it is harmful, and you must become aware of it. So, when does it become manipulation? The difference between emotional awareness and emotional exploitation comes down to intent and pattern. So you got to ask yourself, am I saying this to be understood, or am I saying it to wound? Is this a one-off or something I pull out whenever I feel cornered? If the goal is to shut the other person down or make them doubt themselves or for you to gain the upper hand, that, my friend, is manipulation. Even if it's subtle, even if you didn't mean it that way, impact matters more than intention. So let's have a look at a few everyday examples and some common ones that I see. Right, you always get like this when your dad is brought up. Now, this can instantly shut someone down. It tells them your feelings aren't valid. They are a symptom. And we've got this one. You're just insecure about your body. That's why you don't want me going out. So the translation is, I don't want to deal with your emotional experience, so I'll label it and dismiss it. What about this one? You act jealous because you don't think you're enough. Again, this frames your partner's pain as personal inadequacy. These hit deep because they weaponize vulnerability. They don't just address the argument, they attack identity. And that's why it hurts more, right? And so even if you win the argument in the moment, it hurts more because what it has cost you is emotional safety in your relationship. It is the primary element that I work with a couple, emotional safety. And everyone gets their knickers in a knot when you say emotional safety, because people go, well, I'm not hurting anyone. I go, no, you're not right now. But the fact that you're here means that there has been probably an element of consistent emotional attacks that have cost the safety of the relationship. Once your partner realizes you're willing to use their wounds against them, well, that shit is real and it fractures trust. They start to pull back, not because they don't love you, but because they don't feel safe with you anymore. And the relationship becomes less intimate, less open, less connected. And then you end up in someone like my office because winning the argument is not worth losing the relationship. So, if you're listening right now and you're thinking, shit, I've done that, good. That means you're being honest with yourself. Now, this isn't about shame. Shame shuts us down. This is about accountability. So you've got to ask yourself, what part of me felt threatened in that moment? Or have a look and think back at a recent event and go, God, what was I feeling in that conflict? What was I trying to protect? Naming your own fear is the path out of reactive behaviour. Now, healthy conflict isn't always calm or pretty, but it is respectful. It means we argue about the issue, not the person. We don't use past wounds or character attacks. We take breaks when we get flooded and we name what's happening instead of hiding behind blame. And yes, sometimes it means saying, I need 5 minutes before I say something I regret. boundaries apply in conflict too. You know, I have a particular style of arguing. I mean, if you know me, you'll be sitting in your car or wherever you're listening to me having a bit of a giggle. But I can tell you that certainly isn't pretty. And just because I do this as a job doesn't mean I do it great. But what I do is that I don't attack the person. I am very direct and I am very clear about what is happening and how it's affecting me. That can be off-putting to people. And I'm not opposed to being the person that will say, you know what, I can't stand to look at your face right now. I need to get out of here before I do something I'll regret. There's no doubt that I will be that person that does that, right? But that's what it means. It's not pretty. I think people really confuse healthy conflict as this perfect little Stepford wife or partner that's going to do it right every time or not get angry or not become emotional. That is just not true. That makes you a robot. It's not going to be that. Where it becomes problematic for couples is that they stop talking about the issue and start attacking each other. That's why people end up in my office. So, if you've crossed the line, then you need to look at how you repair the damage. One of the main things that I often say to people is rupture and repair. There is no place where rupture doesn't occur in any relationship, whether it's an intimate relationship, a work relationship, familial relationship. There's always something you're going to stuff up along the way. That's the rupture. What's important is the repair. And most people don't know how to do the repair, or they stop themselves from doing the repair because it feels pretty vulnerable. So, if you've crossed the line, let me tell you what repair sounds like. It sounds like this. I used something personal against you. I know that hurt. I am sorry. You deserve better than that. Here's what I'll do next time. All right, that's what it sounds like. Now, let me tell you what it doesn't sound like. Oh, I'm sorry you feel that way. Or this little nut. I only said it because you made me angry. I call bullshit on both of those. That is not taking responsibility. It is just deflecting the situation in a way that makes you feel good about yourself. True repair takes responsibility. And over time, consistent repair is what will rebuild trust. So, we've all been there. How do we stop ourselves from doing it again? Well, nothing's perfect, right? But here are some tools that will help you. And I probably gave you a few when I was highlighting my little fight style. So, timeouts during heated arguments. There's nothing wrong with saying, listen, we need to take a break because I am flooded and I just need to go and calm and I will be back, right? Don't use a timeout to avoid. That's not being responsible. That's just avoiding conflict. Now, naming out loud what is happening for you. I am frustrated, or I'm really angry, or I can't cope with this right now. I'm feeling overwhelmed. They're the important parts for you to be able to know what's happening and to buy yourself some time. And you can do that using the I language rather than the you always language, right? And I want you to look at talking about agreeing with your partner what is off limits during conflict, right? Now, when you do this at the beginning of a relationship, it's the best thing because it's not about, you haven't already damaged things, right? If you have to start talking about what's off limits now, you've already got a few issues, I'm going to say, because if you have been using personal attacks or vulnerabilities as a fight style, then you've got someone or some people that aren't aware of emotional safety, and that's always an issue. Right now, we don't look for perfection. Nobody needs to be perfect, but it does need to be intentional. You need to intentionally know what the issue is before you start the argument. Now, how do you know when it's part of a bigger problem? Well, if the pattern is constant, or if your partner repeatedly uses your vulnerabilities against you, this can signal emotional manipulation or emotional abuse. And before everyone gets their knickers in a knot, this applies to both men and women. Women do this shit too. That's part of taking responsibility. You need to look at it. But if that is your situation, I want you to know this. Your feelings are real and the harm is real and you deserve support. We all have moments we're not proud of. What matters is what we do next. Knowing your partner's insecurities is a privilege. It is not meant to be a strategy. It's meant to be a doorway to deeper intimacy and understanding. Growth isn't about never messing up. It's about learning to take responsibility and choosing to do better with the knowledge that you have. So I want you to ask yourself a few things before I sign off today. Ask yourself, have I ever used something personal against my partner in an argument? What was happening for me in that moment? And I want you to ask, how would I feel if my partner used one of my insecurities against me? And then, what's one change I could make to argue with more empathy and less defense? Thank you again for tuning in today. As mentioned, this year, I want you to be a part of this conversation. So get on my socials, slide into the DMs, engage with this if it's hit a spot. If this episode has resonated, share it. I want this to get out to more people this year. Someone you know may need to hear it. And as always, take care of yourself. You matter. One of my big goals for this year is to get this podcast into the ears of more people who genuinely need it. So if this episode has made you think, feel, or see things a little differently, I need to ask you a favour. Follow it, rate it, leave a comment, or share it with someone who might need it too. The more you pay it forward, the more I get to keep doing what I do and hopefully help a few more people along the way. And don't stop there. Be sure to tag me at @VVincieTherapist so that I can see and connect with you. I love hearing your thoughts and takeaways, so my inbox is always open. DM me anytime. Thanks again for listening. I'll catch you next time.